One of the dramas brewing in the JRPG communities following the success of Metaphor Refantazio is that with it came many new players who have never played any other JRPG but the modern Persona series. So, what is the problem? Well, many of these, for lack of better terms, inexperienced JRPG players started to praise Metaphor for its mechanics, saying that it's revolutionized the JRPG scene. This caused many JRPG fans to express extreme frustration toward these new players, because many of these mechanics were features in other JRPGs long ago, and they did not get the recognition they deserve compared to Metaphor Refantazio. But is any of this true? And if it is it really a problem? First, there's the most obvious example, the press turn system. Many new players coming from the Persona series thinks the press turn system is the upgrade version of Persona's popular one more mechanic. However, those who have played Shin Megami Tensei title will know that this mechanic has been part of SMT series since Shin Megami Tensei 3 Noctua that was released in 2003. Now, you might be saying that, but in Metaphor, player can combine multiple turn icons to perform stronger attack, which does not exist in Noctua. Surely that has to be revolutionized, right? Actually, no. This feature originally was featured in another SMT title called Digital Devil Saga, released in 2004. That said, the frustration from the SMT fan likely stemmed less from misinformation and more from the fact that many newcomers often only play Persona 5 and the later titles, and often neglect the two legacy Persona titles, and more importantly, the Megami Tensei series, which is a parent series. However, it's worth noting that Nocturne, Digital Devil Saga, and Metaphor Refantazio are all directed or overseen by Katsura Hashino, so it's more about him reworking his ideas to make them accessible to a new generation of players than him just stealing ideas from other titles. But this is just the start, because stealing is exactly what some people would be accusing Hashino of, and the next group of fans is even more upset than the SMT fan. Before we continue, if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Here on the channel, we regularly explore the Persona and other Atlas series. Okay, moving on. The seamless transition between the live combats and turn-based system is definitely one of the main eye-catching features of Metaphor Refantazio. And as you can guess, many newcomers, and to be honest, even some seasonal JRPG veterans, are praising the developers for the impressive innovation of merging these two systems so effectively. However, this system wasn't actually invented by Hashino and the Metaphor team either. Instead, it's come from a series under the umbrella of Falcoms, a lesser known but respected and a long-time developers. If you're a JRPG fan, you probably heard of them, especially for their popular 12 series. This mechanic of blending active action combat with turn-based elements originates from the Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki, which was released in 2021. Which is the reason why some Falcom fans are disappointed that Metaphor Refantazio is receiving credit for a combat system they feel Falcom invented. To add to this frustration, Kuro no Kiseki not only introduced this system first, but also offered more features than Metaphor. For example, in Kuro no Kiseki, player can use skill and buff during active combat, while Metaphor limits player to basic attack in real time. Now, while those two systems are the one causing the most drama, they aren't the only elements Metaphor Refantazio borrow from. The front and the back row mechanics is a prominent feature from older Final Fantasy games. The archetype leveling requirements, where you need to level up one or multiple archetypes to a certain level before unlocking the next one, is also a feature that appears in Final Fantasy and other tactical games from Square Enix in the past. The social stat and follower mechanics, of course, are drawn from the modern Persona series, and I'm not sure if this is intentional, but if you pay close attention to the sword riding animation, it's kind of remind me of those old school Tony Hawk games, which honestly make me want to go play them again. Man, I really gotta find those secret tape. That said, there is a truth that no one wanted to hear. But in the real world, innovation is often recognized more than invention. Just to be clear, invention is the act of creating something entirely new, while innovation is the process of improving or adapting existing product, processes, or idea to create value. Innovations are typically designed to enhance or optimize current practices, which can have an immediate impact on existing industry. One of the best examples of this is that Thomas Edison didn't actually invent the light bulb. He based his design on many pre-existing inventions of his time. The most direct predecessor to Edison bulb was created by inventor like Humphrey Davy, who developed the first electric light in 1802 using a carbon arc, and Joseph Wilson Swan, who made a working bulb with a carbonized paper filaments that could last for several hours. That said, it was Edison who developed a filament that could last over 1,200 hours, making the light bulb practical and economical enough for mass production. If you want a close-to-home example, did you know that while Pokemon, first released in 1996, is famous for its monster catching mechanic, it wasn't actually the first to use it. Digital Devil's Story, Megami Tensei, released nearly 10 years earlier in 1987, already featured this system. However, Pokemon's style of presentation and design choices are much more appealing to broad demographics, including kids of all genders, and many adults who spend thousands of hours trying to catch the Pokemon that have a different color than the original one. In contrast, Megami Tensei tends to attract a more niche audience, often male fans who are interested in darker, demonic themes. This is similar to the Legend of Hero Kuro no Kiseki, which mainly appeal to hardcore JRPG and anime fans, compared to Metaphor Refantazio, which aim to make the game accessible and appeal even to those unfamiliar with JRPG. Of course, the developer distribution powers and popularity also contribute significantly to the success of these innovations. That said, I know it can feel a bit disappointing and even unfair, but I think everyone is looking at this the wrong way. First, we need to admit that we can't change the reality of how things work. In many cases, innovation will receive more recognition than the original invention. If we can accept that, we can focus on what we can do, which is to educate people and introduce them to the original game that you love. For example, I admitted that before Metaphor, I didn't know that the Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki had this hybrid active and turn-based combat system, but then a friends who also enjoy Metaphor told me about it, and now I have another game I'm excited to try in the future. Now, if the game I mentioned today weren't actually the first to use this mechanic, or if you have similar story from other games, feel free to share them in the comment section.